Hyper-independence, fiercely independent. It can sound like an attractive quality in a partner, especially when they assert this independence early on or perhaps even on their dating profile. But this is actually a red flag. This is a sign that you might be dealing with somebody who is emotionally unavailable, somebody who's avoidant. Avoidants have this hyper independence that they push and assert so profoundly. This is because they're telegraphing their fears. See, a healthy person, a normal person, should be an independent person. You should be able to support yourself. You should be able to rely on yourself. That's part of being a healthy, functioning adult. But that should go unsaid. It should be a given. You shouldn't have to announce to the world that you're an independent person. You should be an independent person. It's like bragging and saying, hey, I pay my bills. Well, you should pay your bills. The avoidant asserts their independence because they're telegraphing their fear. And one of the core fears of somebody who is avoidant, especially dismissive avoidant, or a fearful avoidant that leans dismissive, one of these core fears is engulfment. Engulfment is losing themselves, losing their independence in a relationship to somebody who is ultimately going to reject and abandon them. This goes back to childhood, when this person was emotionally neglected by their parents or caretakers. They learned that they can only rely on themselves for their emotional needs. It might have come in the form of pure neglect, or it might have come in the form of enmeshment. Enmeshment is when a parent or both is excessively involved and controlling in the child's life, often pushing the child into an adult-like role very early on where the child has to help regulate the parent's emotions. This is actually a form of emotional neglect. Think about it. How can you be enmeshed and controlled by a parent but emotionally nurtured at the same time? You're not. It's emotional neglect. So this is a person that now associates emotional closeness with losing their independence, getting smothered, and also getting emotionally abandoned. So when a relationship is going well, especially with a loving, caring partner that's consistent, these fears of engulfment start to mount because this person is now afraid of being controlled. They're afraid of losing their independence. And even a very innocent statement like, hey, I wish we'd spend more time together, can feel very controlling to the avoidant. They assert their independence often very early on in the relationship. They often put it on their dating profiles. This is because their fear of losing their independence is so profound that they assert it early on, not realizing that it's actually a massive red flag. Because a healthy person is an independent person, but the healthy person, the secure attached person, does not feel the need to assert their independence and announce it because, it should be a given. Avoidance, well, they telegraph their fears in little ways early on. And this hyper-independence often comes back to bite the partner. They initially found it attractive, but now the avoidant is using it as a reason to create emotional distance between themselves and their partner as the relationship progresses. And even any attempt to create emotional intimacy is perceived as a threat to the avoidant's independence. And unless the avoidant is working on themselves and healing their core attachment wounds, this independence will be a constant issue in the relationship and can perhaps lead to the ending of the relationship if the avoidant feels smothered. But you, as their partner, may not be doing smothering activities whatsoever. Normal, healthy relationship behaviors can feel smothering to an avoidant because they haven't learned the skills to process emotions. They haven't learned the skills to do healthy relationships. So any kind of closeness feels like a threat to them. If you're being a healthy, loving partner, consistent, and this person is feeling smothered and pushing you away, it's not a reflection of you. Don't blame yourself. It's a reflection of them and their unhealed attachment wounds. It's a reflection of the emotional neglect that this person experienced in childhood. Don't personalize their traumas, because if you personalize their traumas, you are pushing yourself into anxious attachment, which is not a healthy place to be either.